Hello everyone and welcome to the first edition of Business Africa in 2025. I'm thrilled to have you with us. Today we are turning our focus to the exciting yet challenging journey of ECOWAS and its bold efforts to strengthen regional integration. But before we dive into this topic, let's jump right into the top stories of today's show. Young engineers across Africa are embracing the promise of biogas, which offers a twofold solution: recycling waste and developing clean cooking alternatives to improve lives across the continent.
Here's my field. This is a crop that took 3 months. But thanks to biogas, in just 7 weeks, you can already harvest it.
In Ghana, the textile industry is drawing on its rich traditions to survive the growing threat of imported goods and maintain its place in the global market.
I decided to start the textile business, but it came to a time the Ghanaian print, it was expensive, so people couldn't afford it.
Meanwhile, in North Kivu, DRC, a local NGO is making a vital difference by supporting displaced communities affected by ongoing armed conflicts in the region, offering them hope and assistance in these challenging times.
I've noticed that over time, I've developed a special bond with them. Every day I wake up, I look forward to coming and sharing something with them.
As we kick off the year, clean energy solutions are taking center stage in Africa like never before. Innovative approaches to recycling and reimagining waste usage are emerging across the continent. Cameroon is no exception, with a surge of groundbreaking initiatives aimed at transforming waste into green and renewable energy, specifically biogas. Our correspondent Maxime Faralbunia met with these young ecological pioneers who are passionate about using biogas technology to provide sustainable and accessible cooking energy to African communities. Take a look. It has been 4 years today that Jean-Michel, based in Banjul in the western region of Cameroon, has been using biogas. This gas is most often derived from the fermentation of organic materials through the action of microorganisms. This fermentation process, which occurs naturally in ecosystems, is called methanization. Initially, the installation of this organic waste and manure management system was only used for cooking food. But today, for the past year, the man in his 50s has been using it to produce fertilizer. And it works.
When you apply it to the plants, you see the change right away. Even what we do in the marshlands, instead of waiting 3 months, we see the results in just 1 month or 3 weeks.
In his compound built with packed earth, it is hard to imagine that such a system is in place, as everything seems perfectly normal. However, as we take a tour of the property, we immediately notice an unusual installation next to the toilets. Standing next to Jérôme is Marcel Tapa, the hidden genius behind this invention.
There's a part at the bottom where all the human waste, food scraps, or anything that can rot goes inside. When everything decomposes, there's evaporation, which is normal. This steam rises. This steam rises and stays inside the dome, creating a kind of canopy above the center. Now, we collect the gas here. Here's our pipe, but not a breathing pipe where the gas escapes. The difference now is that we trap this gas, which has to ferment and turn into fuel. Once the fermentation is complete, the gas passes through these pipes and is directed into our homes, where we can see the color of the flame.
Lighting up, heating, or even driving using our waste, it's possible. Biogas is a renewable energy source that is as promising as it is virtuous, although the cost remains relatively high, which requires support from public authorities. Marcel runs the Green Power Association. Together with his friends, he started producing biogas using the smart pit system. He has already set up this type of installation for around 100 people, and each system has a lifespan of 35 years.
In the gas cylinder you see at home, there is a pressure of over 10 bars inside. When we talk about 10 bars, you can imagine the consequences it could cause in case of an explosion. Here, the maximum pressure in a digester, the smart septic tank you saw earlier, is around 0.4 bars. And now, the gas is regulated in the pipeline before it reaches that level, which is perfectly normal.
Thanks to Marcel's installation, there's no longer any question of throwing away waste. Jean-Michel uses the liquid from the biogas to quickly grow his vegetables. On 1 hectare plot, he proudly praises the benefits of using it.
Here's my field. This is a crop that took 3 months, but thanks to biogas, in just 7 weeks, you can already harvest it. So, biogas can make you a millionaire if you're hardworking. On the market, we have a little advantage when it comes to the color and size.
Steve Jochu, a well-known engineer in the city of Yaoundé, has also designed a biogas system. He decided to adapt his biodigester for households in urban areas.
The goal was to solve these problems by providing households with a biodigester that would facilitate waste management. Be portable in case the client wants to move. Be easily rechargeable at a low cost, and be accessible for everyone to use.
For the young man, using biogas is more advantageous than the traditional gas installed in households.
Today, we are providing people with a system that allows for the valorization of renewable energy. First, because the source is inexhaustible, and second, because the gas produced is a clean gas. When it is burned, there is no release of greenhouse gases. The combustion is complete, not partial, unlike other gases that burn and release many toxic gases into the environment.
Despite the ingenuity they demonstrate, Marcel and Serge face several challenges.
The major challenges are naturally the financing process. In reality, these are projects funded out of pocket. Another difficulty is that households are quite skeptical. The goal is to reach as many people as possible. However, the awareness campaign is not very effective because we are unable to reach the maximum number of people.
Marcel Tapa and Serge Jochu dream of one day conquering not only the Cameroonian market but also the entire African market. For Marcel, every person should invest in intelligent septic tanks. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, 3 countries that have experienced military coup in recent years, are set to officially leave the Economic Community of West African States, the ECOWAS, this month. This follows ECOWAS's decision to impose sanctions in response to the coup. However, ECOWAS Commission President Omar Touré announced last month that the 3 nations will be granted a 6-month grace period before their exit. This extension aims to allow time for negotiations that will facilitate a smooth separation, mitigate the consequences of their departure, and potentially pave the way for reintegration if tensions ease. The 3 countries which have formed the Alliance of Sahel States, the AES, have emphasized that their decision to leave ECOWAS is, I quote, irreversible. Nonetheless, Mali's authorities have assured that the trio will remain a visa-free zone for nationals of other ECOWAS states. Despite the challenges it faces, ECOWAS remains determined to push forward with its integration plans. Dr. Oumar Touré, the president of ECOWAS Commission, recently announced the creation of a new blended finance facility, starting with an initial $75 million. This fund will provide grants, loans and guarantees to support clean energy initiatives across the region. Touré also highlighted one of the most ambitious integration projects on the horizon, a 6,800-kilometer gas pipeline connecting Nigeria to Morocco. This major infrastructure project, which will have the capacity to transport 30 billion cubic feet of natural gas per year, is seen as a cornerstone for ECOWAS's future energy and economic integration. Morocco has already taken steps to accelerate the project, announcing that it will launch tenders for the initial phases this year. The first phase will involve Morocco, Mauritania and Senegal, making an important milestone for regional cooperation and development. Textile waste from Western countries has become a pressing ecological, economic and cultural challenge for Ghana. Once renowned for its rich textile manufacturing heritage, the country now faces the dual threats of foreign fabric imports and the overwhelming influx of second-hand clothes. In response to these challenges, Ghana is turning to its roots, placing its bet on tradition and locally made textiles. In 2004, the government took a bold step by designating Friday as a day to promote and celebrate made-in-Ghana textiles, reinforcing national pride and support for local craftsmanship. As a result, the country's vibrant sewing sector remains alive and well, resisting the pressure from imported goods. Journalists John Awotwi and Georgie Bosaki visited some of the nation's exceptional tailors who continue to uphold this legacy. Take a look.
This Friday Wear initiative brought a boost in business for local dressmakers and tailors, as the wearing of wax print fabrics, which was widely deemed as out of place in formal settings, became a more universally accepted style of clothing, bringing a higher value to the production and use of these garments. A move that was intended to revive the local textiles industry, which employed some 3,000 people, a significant fall from some 30,000 in the 70s. But with an increase in demand of the locally produced clothes, following the Friday Wear initiative, local production struggled to meet the supply. This led to a rise in the price of the local fabrics and opened up an avenue for the infiltration of the cheaper imported fabrics or counterfeited fabrics. Sarah Agri was introduced to the textile trade as a child by her grandmother. She currently sells both locally produced textiles and foreign counterfeited fabrics.
I decided to start the textile business, but it came to a time the Ghanaian print, it was expensive, so people couldn't afford it. So I made up my mind to join the high target, that is the foreign ones, and that one too is cheaper. So people started buying that one. And as for the GTP and printers like that stuff, when somebody is going to marriage ceremony or funeral, then they buy the GTP because that is a traditional cloth.
GTP, ATL and Printex are actually the name of 3 of the 4 major garment factories that survived the decline of the sector in Ghana in the early 2000s. By extension, they gave their name to locally manufactured fabrics used for ceremonial or customary activities. Wooden, however, is of Francophone origin and has become accepted for contemporary use. These days, African print garments are worn daily in many variations in both formal and informal settings. The dressmakers sometimes cannot keep up with the orders, especially during the periods leading up to festive occasions. Some patrons also have to travel long distances to get their dresses made because of their individual taste and styles. Philomena Appiah regularly has to travel out of town to get her dresses made for her.
I was looking for a reliable person to sew my clothes, but I couldn't get one until my sister introduced someone for me at Salt Pond to go there and sew my dress. So when I go there, I see the woman too is very serious to sew the dress for me. That's why I just traveled from Cape Coast to Salt Pond to get a person to sew my dress.
Artisanal tailors like Emmanuel Young Colhams, a third-generation tailor and IT student, are all thankful to the family business they can depend on.
My dad took over him, and I've also taken over my dad. One thing that I've learned from my granddad is that whenever he sews dresses for someone, he makes it look unique in a way that he looks at your personality, your stature, and he sews the dress to fit you perfectly.
Ebenezer Ajay Mansa took over his father's once sought-after tailoring shop that specialized in hand-sewn suits, which was on the brink of collapse and has struggled to keep it afloat. But although he produces some fine garments, businesses like his face the threat of being pushed out of operation by yet another obstacle: cheaper, imported second-hand clothing from China, the US and UK has flooded the Ghanaian market, suffocating the local industry.
This shop is my father's shop. He's the one who taught me this work. What I learned from my father, I'm just continuing. At first, we got some pastors, lawyers, big men from the ministries, all the time bring their work here, suit here, so that we sew for them. And now, things are not like first.
But Professor Asma sees the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the AfCFTA, as another opportunity to reverse the decline in the clothing and textile industry. The agreement provides a bigger market for our locally produced goods, and he encourages entrepreneurs to get themselves prepared by undergoing skills training and apprenticeship programs.
High time we move away from the job of going to school to work in the bank and to work in the ministries and so on. This sector is a big one. And now that the African Free Trade Area is coming on board, I believe it gives us a huge opportunity now, not only to target the local market, but to target the rest of the African continent. And this is where I see the potential of this industry.
With the estimated steady rise in imports of cheaper, inferior clothes and second-hand clothes into the country from $115 million in 2002 to $250 million in 2019, the trend in the declining fortunes of Ghana's local textile and fashion industry is unlikely to change, reducing the local industry to an artisanal scale in a country that needs to make major interventions in getting the masses of its youth in gainful employment.
Are you seeking to boost your business in Africa and Europe? Increase your visibility with Business Frequency thanks to our network of national television channels in more than 40 countries. Every week, more than 100 broadcasts across Africa, the Indian Ocean and Europe. Don't miss this unique opportunity. Contact us now and put your brand into the spotlight. Welcome back to the second part of our show. As we kick off the new year, the dream of direct flights to Europe seems even further out of reach for many African airlines. Last month, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, updated its blacklist of carriers banned from operating within the EU, which now includes 129 companies, 55 of which are African. Airlines from countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan and Angola are particularly affected by the ban. What is perhaps most surprising is the decision to add Air Tanzania to this list. The Tanzanian national carrier had been in talks with European authorities seeking the much coveted third country operator authorization, which would have allowed it to operate in Europe. Air Tanzania has since expressed its disappointment, stating that it is awaiting a delegation of European experts for an inspection mission. Italy is set to host a significant business meeting later this month in the Gulf region to promote its ambitious $6 billion Mattei plan for Africa, which focuses on development and migration solutions. The event, scheduled to take place in Abu Dhabi, aims to secure support from the oil-rich Gulf nations. Key players from the telecommunications and infrastructure sectors are expected to attend. One of the main topics on the table is the potential for Gulf states to invest in the plan through the African Development Bank, which would provide matching funds to bolster the initiative. Last month, SACI, Italy's insurance financial group, and the African Development Bank signed an agreement to offer credit protection designed to encourage more investment in Africa under the Mattei plan. The plan prioritizes several African countries for development support, including Algeria, the Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, Côte d'Ivoire, Kenya, Morocco, Mozambique, and Tunisia. And finally, this year could see intense lobbying from Rwanda as President Paul Kagame has announced that the country is bidding to host the prestigious Formula One Grand Prix. While it wouldn't be the first time the competition has taken place on the African soil, South Africa last hosted the event at the Kyalami circuit in 1993. Rwanda is looking to make its mark. Both Morocco and South Africa are also strong contenders to host the Grand Prix, with organizers indicating that they are willing to take their time in developing a sustainable Formula One ecosystem in Africa. However, Rwanda's bid has sparked a wave of criticism, with analysts raising concerns over the high costs involved in building and maintaining the necessary infrastructure. Last month, talks that were scheduled to take place in Angola between the leaders of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, aimed at resolving the ongoing conflict in eastern DRC, were unexpectedly cancelled. This deadlock has left more than 500,000 displaced people in limbo with no clear path to a solution. In the face of this crisis, civil society has stepped up to support the most vulnerable, particularly in rural areas. One such initiative is the Collectif Goma Actif, a grassroots organization providing vital food aid to displaced populations with a special focus on women and children. Our correspondent Daniel Michomboro went to meet the dedicated members of the collective. Let's take a closer look at their efforts.
It is 7:30 a.m. and Binti Fataki is already getting ready to meet the group. The young girl from Goma has already carved out an agenda for herself. As a volunteer in the collective, Francine shares the agenda of the day to the displaced of Kanyaruchinya in the north of Goma. Today she's gathering some clothes to distribute to the displaced population after serving them some porridge. A father, a mother, and a child will benefit from her help.
I just woke up and I'm preparing some clothes to give to the displaced people. It has become a habit for us, especially for me, because I have been doing it every day for over 2 months. And it is with great pleasure and compassion that we put a smile on the faces of our displaced compatriots and victims of this war.
Indeed, a daily job, according to this active Goma collective. It is time to return the favor to these people who had previously supplied the city of Goma with agricultural products for several years. Everything is prepared in this white tarp set up in Kanyaruchinya in the middle of the IDP camp, whether it is porridge or even other meals for the displaced. Like every day before serving the meals, songs and therapeutic dances led by psychologists are performed to try to make the displaced children forget their traumas and thus put a smile on their faces.
As you can see, it's always a pleasure to put a smile on the children's faces. It has become a routine for me. There's as much pleasure in giving as in receiving. It's a joy for me to do it, to share. They are too endearing. I've noticed that over time. I've developed a special bond with them. Every day I wake up, I look forward to coming and sharing something with them.
Sharing is what makes Zena Ange smile this morning. Pregnant, this mother of 4 recognizes the efforts of these young people who sacrifice themselves to find something to give to the displaced who have come empty-handed.
This collective Goma Active feeds us with porridge, often bringing beans that we eat and clothes we wear for us and our children. They also bring staples such as rice, beans and sometimes sugar, which we often eat while waiting for the big NGOs to come and help us. We are very happy and we say thank you very much to these young people. We really say thank you very much to them. It's a noble gesture. Look how happy our children are when they eat the porridge. It keeps us going when we have nothing to eat, especially during this rainy season. Look how happy all these mothers are. They're having porridge. We really thank those who have a thought for us in this tough time. It's a relief. Thank you very much.
The collective preferred to share the meal with the displaced to celebrate Christmas. There were food supplies, basic necessities, and staples. This initiative started on May 22, 2022 in Nyiragongo territory. Eugene Boingo says that his organization wanted to act like firemen to bring help to these people. These children, these mothers are our brothers, our sisters, or our mothers. They are the most affected. We are the ones who will have to take care of these people because they are suffering. If the international NGOs can come quickly to help us. At the moment, the NGOs have taken time to react, so we decided to act by doing what we can do together and start to alleviate the pain of these children and nursing mothers. We've been here for a while. It's the 54th or 55th day, if I remember correctly, and we're here regularly during all this time. This is not the first time that Goma Active has intervened. The collective also helped during the Nyiragongo volcanic eruption of May 22, 2021, north of the city of Goma. This eruption led to the displacement of nearly 400,000 people, the death of 32 people, and the destruction of several hundred houses, according to an official report. These young people had assisted and helped hundreds of victims of the volcanic eruption.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Business Africa. I'll be back next week, same time, same channel, for a brand new episode of Initiative Africa. This time, we'll be joined by Innocent Mutanga, the founder of the Africa Center in Hong Kong. In the meantime, don't forget to catch this episode and more on our website, africaonair.com, and stay connected with us on social media. Feel free to share, like, and comment using the hashtag Business Africa. Wishing you a fantastic week ahead, and until next time, goodbye.